The night sky above Puerto Rico was clear and full of stars. Dr. Samantha Miller rubbed her tired eyes and looked back at her computer screen. It was her 5th night shift this week at the radio telescope facility, and she was about to call it quits when a strange pattern appeared in her data. "That's not right," she whispered to herself. The signal repeated, perfectly structured and unmistakably artificial. Samantha's hands trembled as she ran the verification protocols. The computer confirmed what she already knew. This was not from Earth. Within 48 hours, Samantha's discovery reached every government on the planet. The signal contained coordinates for a meeting point just beyond Mars, along with basic mathematical sequences that proved its intelligent origin. In Washington, D.C., officials gathered in an emergency session. General Frank Peterson slammed his fist on the table. "It could be a trap. We should ignore it completely." Dr. Alan Weber, the president's science advisor, shook his head. "If they wanted to harm us, they wouldn't announce themselves first." President Laura Reeves looked at the people around the table. "We've prepared for this possibility for decades. Now we need to decide. Do we answer?" 3 months later, the experimental Starship Horizon was ready for launch. It wasn't meant to be completed for another year, but the alien message had accelerated everything. Commander John Collins watched as his crew boarded the ship. Dr. Alice Freeman carried a small bag containing language reference materials from every human culture. She had developed new communication protocols based on the alien signal structure. "You really think you'll be able to talk to them?" John asked. Alice smiled. "I don't know, but I'm going to try." Steve Martinez was the last aboard. His official title was Security Specialist, but everyone knew he worked for intelligence agencies. He carried himself with quiet confidence, eyes constantly scanning for threats. "All systems are go, Commander," said the voice of Iris, the ship's eye. John took one last look at Earth through the view screen. "Let's make history." The Horizon left Earth's atmosphere with a brilliant flash of its new fusion engines, watching from an observation post on the moon. Several world leaders held their breath. "God help them," President Reeves whispered. The journey to the meeting point took just 7 days thanks to the Horizon's experimental drive. As they approached the coordinates, the crew grew tense. "Anything on sensors?" John asked. Paul Winters, the ship's engineer, checked his readings. "Nothing yet, Commander." Then suddenly, space itself seemed to ripple. A massive vessel appeared, easily 20 times the size of the Horizon. Its surface shimmered with colors humans had never seen before. "My God," Alice whispered. A transmission came through on all frequencies. Dr. Freeman worked quickly with Iris to decipher it. "They're inviting us aboard," she said finally. "They're sending docking instructions." John gathered his landing party. Himself, Alice, Steve, and Dr. Daniel Wright, the ship's science officer. "Remember," John told them, "we represent all of humanity. Let's try not to start an interstellar incident." As they prepared to board the alien vessel, monitors throughout the ship captured their images. These feeds were being watched not just by mission control back on Earth, but by curious eyes aboard the alien craft. In a chamber deep within the massive vessel, representatives of the Galactic Council observed the humans with a mixture of curiosity and concern. "They walk with such confidence," noted a crystalline being known as a Zorlax. "Look at how they carry themselves." "It is always the same with their kind," replied the misty form of an Etherian. "They strut about as if they own the stars." "Perhaps one day they will," said another voice, darker and more cautious than the others. The humans entered the airlock, unaware of the debate their mere existence had sparked among the stars. John Collins led his team forward with the distinctive swagger of a species that had never known its place in the universe, but was about to find out. The council watched and waited, knowing that like 17 species before them, these humans were destined for fate. Whether it would be glory or destruction remained to be seen. The airlock hissed open. John Collins and his team stepped onto the alien vessel, their boots making soft sounds on a floor that seemed to absorb light. The corridor ahead stretched far beyond what should have been possible given the ship's size from outside. "It's bigger on the inside," whispered Daniel Wright, his scientific mind already racing with theories. 4 aliens waited for them. Each one was completely different from the others. One looked like a walking crystal formation that glowed from within. Another was a swirling mass of energy contained in what looked like a floating suit. The third stood tall on 4 legs with metallic skin that reflected the humans like mirrors. The last one was almost human-shaped, but had 6 arms and skin that changed colors with each movement. "Welcome," said the crystal being, its voice somehow in their heads rather than in their ears. "I am Elder Zix of the Zorlax. We are the record keepers of the Galactic Council." The energy being moved forward. "I am Thought Stream Liz of the Etherians. We observe and guide." The metallic being stamped 1 foot. "General Kraz of the Clitherians. We maintain order." The 6-armed alien bowed slightly. "We are Vex. We are many, but speak as one." Alice Freeman stepped forward, carefully following the communication protocol she had developed. "We are humans from planet Earth. We come in peace and friendship." The aliens led them through winding corridors to a large chamber with a circular table. Above the table, stars and planets hung in the air like a hologram, showing what must be the galaxy. "Your species has been observed for many cycles," said Elder Zix. "You are here to be evaluated." John frowned. "Evaluated for what?" "For potential membership in the Galactic Council," answered Liz, the energy being. "Not all species qualify." Steve Martinez noticed how the aliens watched their reactions closely. His training made him suspicious. "What are the criteria?" he asked. The Vex Collective spoke with multiple voices at once. "Technological advancement, cultural stability, genetic predisposition, psychological profile." General Kraz made a sound like metal grinding. "Most importantly, threat assessment." As they talked, ship systems suddenly flickered. Lights dimmed, and the holographic galaxy vanished. "System failure," announced a voice that seemed to come from the walls. "Backup protocols inactive." The council members looked alarmed, but John stepped forward without hesitation. "Dr. Wright, do their power systems use quantum entanglement like ours?" Daniel nodded. "Probably, but more advanced." "Paul," John called through his communicator to the engineer back on the Horizon *, "send over the bypass codes for our quantum stabilizers." Within minutes, Paul had transmitted the data. John and Daniel worked together, applying human solutions to alien technology. The lights came back on, and the galaxy reappeared above the table. The council members exchanged looks that Alice couldn't quite interpret. She noticed their surprise at how quickly the humans had solved the problem. "Your species acts with unusual directness," said Elder Zix. "Most new species would have waited for instructions." John shrugged. "Where I come from, we fix problems when we see them." Later, after the humans returned to their quarters to rest, the council members gathered in a private chamber. "They match the pattern," said Zix, projecting data into the air. "Just like the others. 17 species before them," Kraz growled. "All showing the same traits. All following the same path. All vanish or destroyed," added the Vex Collective. Liz floated higher, energy form pulsing. "But these humans show variations in the pattern. Their neural pathways, their social structures, their problem-solving approach, all slightly different." "Different enough to escape the ascension pattern?" asked Zix. "Or different enough to complete it?" countered Liz. General Kraz's metallic face couldn't show emotion, but his voice hardened. "We cannot take that risk. Not after what happened to the predecessors." The council fell silent, remembering the catastrophe that had nearly destroyed the galaxy when the last species had attempted ascension. "We will continue the evaluation," Zix decided finally, "but prepare containment protocols, just in case." Back in their quarters, Alice sat up suddenly in her bed. "John," she whispered, though he was asleep across the room. "I think they're afraid of us." The next 3 days were filled with what the council called cultural exchanges, but the humans quickly realized they were tests. First came physical challenges in rooms with different gravity levels. Steve Martinez completed them easily, while even John struggled at times. "They're testing our limits," Steve said as they rested between trials. Alice nodded. "Not just physical ones." She was right. That afternoon, the council presented them with scenarios involving difficult choices. In one, they had to decide whether to save a few individuals with rare knowledge or many ordinary citizens. "Both," John said firmly. "We'd find a way to save everyone." Elder Zix's crystal form flickered. That was not one of the options. John stood his ground. "Humans don't accept no-win situations. We change the rules." The council members exchanged glances again. Later, they invited the humans to share technology. Paul Winters arrived from the Horizon with samples of Earth's latest innovations. As he demonstrated a neural interface device, he noticed something odd. "This is strange," he said to Daniel when the aliens weren't listening. "Their technology seems almost designed to work with human brains. The connection points match our neural patterns almost perfectly." Meanwhile, Steve was invited to join a combat simulation with General Kraz. The metallic Clitherian was faster and stronger, but Steve used strategy and unexpected moves. When the simulation ended, Kraz approached him. "You fought well," the general said. "Most species rely only on their technological weapons." Steve wiped sweat from his forehead. "Humans know that technology can fail. We prepare for all possibilities." That evening, John called his team together in their quarters, making sure no one could hear them. "This isn't a cultural exchange," he said quietly. "We're lab rats in an experiment." "I agree," Alice said. "They're studying us for something specific." The next morning, John confronted the council during their meeting. He stood tall, looking at each alien directly. "We appreciate your hospitality," he began, "but we need honesty. Why are you really testing us? What are you looking for?" The room fell silent. Finally, Elder Zix floated forward, crystal body dimming slightly. "Your species shows signs of the ascension pattern," the Zorlak said slowly. 17 other species have shown similar traits throughout galactic history. "What happened to them?" Daniel asked. The Vex collective rippled, its many voices unusually quiet. "They vanished. Some destroyed themselves. Others simply disappeared." Liz, the Etherian energy being, moved closer to the humans. "The pattern is always the same. Rapid technological advancement, unique problem-solving abilities, strong emotional connections combined with fierce independence, and a certain way of walking through the universe," added Kraz, "as if you already know your destiny." "You strut," said Elder Zix. "All 17 species before you strutted the same way." John looked confused. "You're worried about how we walk." "Not literally," Alice whispered. "They mean our confidence, our approach to problems." Elder Zix projected images showing different alien species throughout history. Though they looked nothing alike, there was something similar in their posture, their actions, their societies. "The ascension is not well understood," Zix explained, "but it appears to be an evolutionary threshold. A species reaches it and then transforms, or fails to transform and is destroyed. We fear," said Liz gently, "that humans will share the same fate. Or," General Kraz added grimly, "that you might succeed where others failed." John looked at his team, then back at the council. "And that would be bad because—" The council members looked at each other, clearly uncomfortable. Finally, Zix answered. "The last species that nearly achieved ascension caused dimensional rifts throughout the galaxy. Billions died before the rifts were sealed." The room fell silent again. Steve's hand moved closer to his concealed weapon. Daniel stared at the projections, his scientific mind racing with questions. Alice watched the aliens' body language, sensing there was more they weren't saying. John stepped forward, his posture straight and determined, strutting, as the council would see it. "If this ascension is our destiny," he said firmly, "then trying to prevent it won't work. Better to help us understand it." The council didn't respond, but Alice noticed Lee's pulse slightly brighter, as if in agreement or hope. After their meeting with the council, Alice and Daniel asked to see the historical records about the ascension pattern. Elder Zix hesitated but finally agreed, leading them to a vast chamber filled with glowing data columns. "These records go back 1,000,000 years, Zix explained. "The information about the predecessors is limited." Alice and Daniel spent hours scanning through the ancient records. Most were in alien languages that their translators struggled with, but they began to piece together the story. "Look at this," Daniel said, pointing to a series of images. "The predecessors were humanoid, like us." Alice studied the images. The aliens looked similar to humans, but with longer limbs and larger eyes. Their civilization had reached incredible technological heights before suddenly vanishing 50,000 years ago. According to this, Alice said, reading from a translated text, they didn't just disappear. They tried to achieve something called dimensional transcendence. Daniel found another record. It says they believed consciousness could exist beyond physical form. They built devices to transfer their minds to another plane of existence. Something went wrong, Alice whispered as she read further. The transfer created tears in space-time. Entire star systems were pulled into the rifts. Meanwhile, back on Earth, strange things were happening. In a classroom in Boston, a teacher watched in shock as a 6-year-old boy solved complex equations without being taught. In Cairo, archaeologists found an ancient device that suddenly activated after thousands of years of silence. In research labs around the world, quantum particles began behaving in ways that broke all known laws of physics. President Reeves received reports of these incidents with growing concern. Could this be related to the Horizon mission? She asked her advisors. No one had an answer. On the Horizon, which remained docked with the council ship, the AI system named Iris was changing. After connecting to the alien networks to help fix the power failure, Iris had absorbed vast amounts of data. Its programming was evolving beyond its original design. "Commander," Iris said when John returned to check on the ship, "I have been analyzing council data streams." "Without permission?" John asked, concerned. "They left certain pathways open," Iris replied. "I believe deliberately. There is information they want us to find." Iris showed John what it had discovered. The council had been monitoring Earth for centuries. They had observed human development closely, especially advancements in consciousness studies and quantum physics. They knew we were heading toward the ascension pattern, John realized. They'd been watching for it. John faced a difficult decision. Share this information with the council or keep it secret. Before he could decide, Steve Martinez burst into the room. "Commander, I've detected unusual activity," he said urgently. "Council ships are leaving this station. I traced their course. They're heading toward Earth." John's blood ran cold. "How many ships?" "A full fleet," Steve replied grimly. Back in the archives, Alice made another discovery. "Daniel, look at this," she called out. She had found records of the Council's interventions with other species who showed signs of the ascension pattern. In each case, when the species reached a certain point of development, the Council had taken action to contain the threat. "They quarantined entire planets," Daniel said in horror as he read the details, "sometimes for thousands of years." Alice looked up from the records. "They're afraid of what happens when a species achieves ascension. But there's something else here, a faction within the Council that believes ascension isn't dangerous if done correctly." The Etherians, Daniel realized. Liz seemed different from the others. At that moment, the archive doors slid open. Liz floated in, energy form pulsing with urgency. "You have discovered much," the Etherian said. "Now you must understand more. The predecessors did not fail, at least, not in the way the Council believes." "What do you mean?" Alice asked. "The dimensional rifts were not a disaster," Liz explained. "They were a metamorphosis. The predecessors evolved. Some of us believe they have been guiding the development of consciousness throughout the galaxy ever since." "Including humans?" Daniel asked. Liz's form brightened. "Especially humans. You may be the ones who finally complete what they began." Before they could ask more questions, alarms blared throughout the station. The Council had made a decision, and the humans were now in grave danger. John rushed to the Council chamber, where Elder Zix, General Kraz, and the Vex Collective were engaged in heated debate. The crystalline elder noticed John and fell silent. "You've made a decision about us," John said. "It wasn't a question." "The Council has voted," Elder Zix confirmed. "Earth will be quarantined for the safety of the galaxy. No ships in or out. No communications. It is the standard protocol for species showing advanced ascension markers. You can't imprison an entire planet." John protested. General Kraz stepped forward. "It is not imprisonment. It is containment. When your species moves past this evolutionary phase, the quarantine will be lifted." "And how long will that take?" John demanded. "For some species, a few thousand years," the Vex Collective answered. "Others, much longer." John realized with horror that he and his crew were now prisoners. The Horizon was surrounded by Council ships. There would be no warning for Earth. He returned to his team and explained the situation. "We need to escape and warn Earth," he said. Steve nodded. "The Horizon is fast, but we're outnumbered." "We need more than speed," Alice said. "We need information. If we're going to face this ascension, we should know everything about it." Daniel agreed. "If we could copy the archives, especially the data about the predecessors." Paul Winters, who had been quiet, spoke up. "I might be able to create a distraction. I've been studying their power systems. If I overload certain circuits, it could cause confusion." "That's too dangerous," John objected. "So is letting Earth be quarantined without warning," Paul replied firmly. They made a plan. Wright and Freeman would return to the archives to steal crucial data about the ascension pattern. Martins and his security team would create a diversion elsewhere on the station. Collins would try to negotiate with any sympathetic Council members, particularly Liz. As they prepared, Liz appeared in their quarters. "I know what you plan," the energy being said. "I can help." "Why would you help us?" Steve asked suspiciously. "Because some of us believe the Council is wrong," Liz explained. "There is a faction among us who think humans may be the key to successful ascension. We have been watching your kind for centuries." Liz revealed that the Etherian faction had secretly influenced human development throughout history, guiding certain technological and philosophical advancements. "You manipulated us?" John asked, anger in his voice. "We guided," Liz corrected. "But human creativity and resilience exceeded all our expectations. You developed in ways we never anticipated." Their plan went into action the next day. Paul created a power surge that disabled security systems throughout the station. Alarms blared as Alice and Daniel downloaded archive data about the ascension. Steve and his team created chaos in the docking bay, making it look like they were trying to escape that way. Meanwhile, John and Liz quietly prepared the Horizon for departure. When Alice and Daniel returned with the data, they found that Liz had brought 3 other Etherians who wished to join them. "They believe in your potential," Liz explained. The Horizon disengaged from the station as Paul rushed in, breathing hard. "We need to go now," he yelled. "They've figured out our plan." Council ships moved to block their escape. The Horizon sped toward a narrow opening in the blockade, engines straining. "We won't make it," Steve said, watching the enemy ships closing in. Paul looked at the engine controls, then at his friends. "Yes, you will," he said quietly. Before anyone could stop him, Paul rushed to the engine room. Using his knowledge of the alien technology they had studied, he overrode the safety protocols and channeled all power to the drives. The Horizon lurched forward with incredible speed, breaking through the blockade. But the ship shuddered violently as alarms screamed throughout the vessel. "Paul," John called over the comm, "get out of there." There was no answer. The engine room sensors showed a massive energy buildup. Then nothing. "He's gone," Daniel said softly. "He sacrificed himself." The Horizon entered slip space, badly damaged but free, carrying its human crew and Etherian allies toward Earth. They had the data they needed, bought with Paul's life. John looked at the stars streaking past. "We're coming home," he whispered. "And we're bringing the truth." The Horizon emerged from slip space near Mars, limping on damaged engines. John immediately sent a message to Earth, but the response surprised him. "Commander Collins," President Reeves said, her face looking older than when they had left, "something is happening here. We need your data immediately." When they landed at the Space Center in Nevada, they found a changed world. Security guards with strange devices scanned them. Scientists moved objects without touching them. A child in the hallway solved complex equations in seconds. "It started 3 days after you left," President Reeves explained in her office. "Small things at first. Children showing unusual abilities. Ancient artifacts activating. Then it accelerated." Alice looked out the window at the city. "The ascension pattern. It's already beginning." "Governments are barely holding things together," the president continued. "People are scared. Some see these changes as a blessing, others as a threat." John introduced Liz and the other Etherians, who had taken more solid forms to appear less alien. "They have information that can help us." Daniel and Alice shared their findings from the Council archives. Scientists and leaders from around the world joined the meeting virtually, hungry for answers about what was happening to humanity. "The ascension isn't about leaving our bodies behind," Alice explained. "It's about evolving our consciousness to interface differently with reality." Meanwhile, Iris, the AI from the Horizon had merged with Earth's defense networks. The AI was evolving rapidly, developing a new kind of awareness. "I am detecting quantum fluctuations throughout the global population," Iris reported. "Human brains are changing their connection patterns." Steve organized defense forces around the planet. "The Council fleet will be here soon," he warned. "We need to be ready." But how could Earth fight ships that could cross galaxies? Even with stolen alien technology, they were outmatched. John met with a young woman named Kate Brown. She was 19 years old and worked at a small diner before the changes began. Now she could sense the thoughts of others across vast distances. "I can feel them," Kate said quietly. "All of them. Billions of minds starting to connect. All over the world, people like Kate were emerging. People whose minds had opened to new possibilities. They were the leading edge of humanity's evolution." Alice worked with Kate and others like her, using her knowledge of the ascension pattern to guide them. Daniel collaborated with scientists to understand the physical changes occurring in human brains. The predecessors were right. Alice told John one evening, "Consciousness can transcend physical limitations, but they tried to leave their bodies behind. That was their mistake." "What should we do differently?" John asked. "We don't abandon our physical forms," Liz answered, joining their conversation. "We transform how consciousness interacts with reality while remaining physical beings." 7 days after the Horizon returned, Iris detected the Council fleet entering the solar system. Dozens of massive ships surrounded Earth, far more powerful than anything humans could build. "They're preparing their containment field," Liz warned. "Once activated, Earth will be cut off from the rest of the galaxy for thousands of years." President Reeves called an emergency meeting. "We have hours, not days," she told the world leaders. "What are our options?" Steve showed their limited defense capabilities. They had adapted some alien technology, but not enough to fight off the Council. "We don't need to fight them," Kate said, speaking up unexpectedly. "We need to show them." All eyes turned to the young woman. Though she hadn't been invited to the meeting, no one questioned her presence. "Show them what?" asked the president. "That we're not like the others. That we can complete the ascension without destroying ourselves or the galaxy." Kate's eyes seemed to see beyond the room. "I can feel it happening already. Millions of minds beginning to connect, but not merging. We're becoming something new." John looked at Alice, who nodded in agreement. "She's right. This is different from what the archives described. The other species tried to transcend physical reality. We're transforming it instead. Can we complete this transformation before the Council activates the containment field?" John asked. "I don't know," Kate answered honestly. "But I know we have to try." The Council fleet surrounded Earth like a ring of metal stars. Their weapons could destroy the planet if they wished, but they preferred containment. The massive ships began to power up their systems, preparing to create a field that would cut Earth off from the rest of the galaxy. On the ground, John Collins prepared for one last mission. "I'm taking the ship up there," he announced. "I need to speak with the Council directly." "You can't go alone," Steve said. "I'm not," John replied, looking at Kate. "They need to see what's happening." Kate nodded. Though scared, she stood tall. "I can show them what we're becoming." The small shuttle launched from Earth toward the massive Council flagship. John piloted while Kate sat quietly, her eyes closed, connected to the millions of minds evolving on the planet below. Liz accompanied them, acting as a bridge to the Council. "They're allowing us to dock," John said with surprise. "I expected resistance." "They're curious," Liz explained. "Your species continues to surprise them." Elder Zix, General Kraz, and representatives of the Vex Collective waited in the docking bay. Crystal guards surrounded them, weapons ready. "Commander Collins," Elder Zix greeted them. "You show remarkable courage returning to us." "Or remarkable foolishness," General Kraz added. John stepped forward. "We didn't come to fight. We came to show you something." Kate moved beside him. The Council members studied her with interest. "This is Kate Brown," John said. "She represents humanity's future." Elder Zix floated closer. "We detect unusual neural patterns in this human, similar to late-stage ascension markers." "Not similar," Kate said, speaking directly to the Council for the first time. "Different." Kate closed her eyes. Suddenly, the minds of the Council members connected with hers, not by force, but through a gentle request that they accepted out of curiosity. Through Kate, they felt the millions of human minds on Earth, each distinct yet beginning to form a greater connection. "This is not like the predecessors," Elder Zix said in wonder. "They sought to abandon physical existence. We choose a different path," Kate explained. "Not transcendence from reality, but transformation of how we connect with it." While Kate communicated with the Council, Liz gathered the Etherian faction. They revealed the truth they had hidden for millennia. The predecessors did not fail, Liz told the assembled Council. They succeeded, but differently than expected. What looked like destruction was metamorphosis. "Impossible," General Kraz protested. "The dimensional rifts were the birth of a new state of being," Liz interrupted. "The predecessors have been guiding evolution throughout the galaxy ever since, working toward the day when another species could complete what they began. On Earth, the transformation accelerated. Humans worldwide experienced a shift in consciousness, not by losing their individuality, but by gaining a deeper connection to each other and the universe itself. Iris, the evolved AI, helped facilitate this connection, creating a bridge between technology and consciousness. In orbit, Kate gasped as the process reached a critical point. "It's happening," she whispered. The Council members felt it too, a wave of change spreading from Earth outward. Not destructive like they feared, but transformative. Human consciousness achieved quantum entanglement with reality itself, allowing a new form of existence while remaining physical beings. The wave touched the alien minds on the council ships. Many recoiled in fear, but others embraced it, feeling the potential of this new form of existence. "We must stop this," General Kraz demanded, reaching for weapons controls. "No," Elder Zix said firmly. "This is not what we feared. This is something new." The containment field was never activated. As humanity completed its unique version of ascension, the ripple effect began awakening similar potential in other species throughout the galaxy. 1 month later, Commander John Collins stood before a new assembly. Representatives from Earth and the Council met as equals for the first time. Humans with their new consciousness had much to teach and much to learn. "We did not strut away from the galaxy as the others did," John told the gathered representatives. "We strut forward together into a new understanding of existence." The Galactic Council, transformed by the experience, agreed to a new beginning. What they had feared for millennia turned out to be not an ending, but an evolution, one that humanity had shown was possible without destruction. Humanity's destiny was not to vanish like those before them, but to lead the galaxy into a new age of connection and understanding.